Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television, and we are here for National Bourbon Day. Is this a new celebration, National Bourbon Day?
Yes, it is a new celebration, and what better place to have it than Bardstown, Kentucky?
Exactly.
The bourbon capital of the world.
Exactly. We're here on Spalding Lawn. Behind us is Spalding Hall, and inside Spalding Hall is the Oscar Getz Whiskey Museum, and we're going to talk a little about the refurbishing of that as well, because they just had a ribbon cutting. But they have a huge celebration here today for National Bourbon Day. Where a better place to have it than in Bardstown, and I'm here with Dixie Hibbs, who we've had on several times and is a wonderful historian, is going to tell us a little bit about how we've gotten to this point with the museum here, right?
Yes, all right. The museum history here goes back to 1973. We set up a Bardstown Nelson County History Museum with Indian artifacts and Abraham Lincoln and everything that was of historical value that happened in Nelson County. Well, in 1983, Mrs. Getz, the widow of Oscar Getz, wanted her husband's collection to be displayed in a place away from the distillery. They sold the distillery. They didn't have a display place. So she came up here. The mayor of Bardstown and the board members here at Spalding Hall determined they could take the first floor of Spalding Hall, and which is the old St. Joseph College building, and renovate it for a museum. And they did. She hired a designer, and he oversaw all the renovations. It took us about 6 months to get the walls replastered and painted and the displays made. But Mr. Getz had collected items pertaining to whiskey history for more than 50 years. He has a rock from the foundation of the still that George Washington used.
Wow.
Yeah, in the 1790s. So he has everything from George Washington's rock all the way through now. And today we are opening a new exhibit. Besides renovating the present exhibit, we're opening a new exhibit on Prohibition and Temperance. The Fraser Museum in Louisville had a display up for almost 3 years, and that last fall they called and said, "We're taking this down. Do you want any of it?" Well, we went and took 75% of it. Now, we have not displayed every bit of it yet. We're going to use some for the Bourbon Festival when that comes up this fall. But probably 50% of what they had in Louisville, if you didn't get to see that, we have it on display here. And we have it in the main hallway because we kept our other rooms that we had set up, like the container room and the distilling room. We have a bar and advertising room. We have the distilleries before Prohibition, the old ones, the old pictures, the old stories. And then we have a room for just today's distillery and what they produce. And we have a sales room, which you go to the liquor store. And our sales room is 1940s. You could get a candy bar for a nickel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually, some of them have a penny on them. I think it must be a misprint. I mean, I don't know. I never remember spending a penny for anything but maybe a little gumballs or something like that. Yeah, right. But it is, anytime you go to a museum, it's a trip back in time. It's nostalgia. Oh, I remember this, right? Wonder what in the world they would think of when they did that kind of thing. We're very proud to open this up to the public. And it's a self-guided tour, but what we try to do is give you an outline about what you're going to see and let you look on your own. Because if you're real interested, you might be here an hour. If you just want to walk through and see some odds and ends, you might be here 30 minutes. But either way, and we don't charge. Now, here's where my begging question comes in. Here's the commercial. Okay. Mrs. Getz didn't want anyone to have to pay to come and see this collection. Well, you know and I know everyone has bills. We have employees, we have overhead and all that. So we ask for a donation. And when I tell people, they'll say, "How much?" I said, if you've enjoyed it, give it to the point that you think what you would pay for this amount of entertainment. If you didn't enjoy it, please drop $1 or $2 because we have to keep this going. And in this day and time, it takes you almost $15 to go to a movie. A $5 visit to the Oscar Getz Museum, it's well worth that. Plus, we have the History Museum. I can show you an Indian hunting coat that has porcupine quill embroidery on it. Now, where are you going to see that?
That's right.
That's right. One of the things you asked me about, is this the only whiskey museum in the United States? No, I'm sure it's not. It's the only museum of whiskey history that the Smithsonian directs contributions to. They don't have a display up there that they can take and keep on permanent displays. So when someone offers them something significant, they usually say, "Call Oscar Getz in Bardstown, Kentucky." So you'll see things here you wouldn't see anywhere else in the world because they are unique to Bardstown and bourbon making. We're open 7 days a week. On Saturdays and Sundays, we close at 4 in the afternoon. On Saturdays, it's 10 to 4. On Sunday, it's 12 to 4. The rest of the week, we're 10 to 5. So if you want to come have a nice, pleasant day, nobody pushes you, there are things you can read, things you can touch. We don't say don't touch anything either. But you can't drink inside. We don't offer you a drink. I'm sorry. And we don't sell alcohol inside. We do have a gift shop with other things, but it. Mr. Getz, I'm sure, is watching over us and smiling at all the comments people make about the things he bought. Jugs and crates we have, and a lot of local people have donated things from the industry. You know, you've got the wooden crates that they packed the bottles in years ago, and they've got this size. Old Tub was one of Jim Beam's first brands, and we have Old Tub whiskey crates, and we have Old Tub bottles. And if I think I like to look at the old names of things because everybody had different ideas about what name would sell their whiskey. You know, Clear Spring, they like the idea of the clear water kind of thing, well, and things of that sort. But again, when you come to Bardstown and visit Bardstown, you can't help but absorb history because it's in the air.
Absolutely.
Or in the bottle.
Exactly. And it tastes good too, right?
It tastes good, yes.
Yes. And again, we're here for National Bourbon Day down in Bardstown, right on Spalding Lawn. It's a beautiful day for this as well. And we are here in Bardstown, so come on out to the Oscar Getz Museum. They just had a ribbon cutting as well for that. And I've been here with Dixie Hibbs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
And I'm here with Randy Getz, who is the grandson of Oscar Getz. And the Oscar Getz Museum is the Museum of Whiskey History, I believe is what it's called, right? Here in Bardstown at Spalding Hall. And you are his grandson. So tell us a little about Oscar Getz, if you would.
Well, my grandfather, Oscar, was very dynamic, very dapper, really knew nothing about the bourbon industry prior to getting into the industry. We were actually in the radio business for years and years, and shortly after Prohibition, he got kind of dialed into Bardstown and the old Mattingly and Moore Distillery, and in 1944 founded Barton Distilling Company. So I was born in 1958, so I was born around the industry, in the industry, but never typically set foot in Bardstown until I moved here in 1979. So shortly after that, we sold the company in 1981 to an English gentleman. I was fortunate enough to say on the payroll, in sales, and spent 30 years with the company up until 2009 when Constellation sold the brands off to Sazerac or Buffalo Trace. But the museum was on the distillery grounds for years, up until that point where we were looking at possibly Louisville or Bardstown for the collection, and everybody was on the same page that the museum really belonged here in Bardstown and Spalding Hall. And I was telling some folks earlier when we opened a museum that we had no air conditioning in the building. It was about 110 degrees that day outside, and our first mission was to get the building air conditioned. So I spent 30 years in the industry. I live in Louisville. I'm officially on the board of Spalding Hall of January, and it's been a great experience. The Fraser Museum has been nice enough to donate their collection for at least 3 years. So Linda's doing a great job in renovating, painting, and getting everything fresh. So
because we have a new director for the museum, Linda McCloskey.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So she's done a great job, and you know, this is a great event. It's a beautiful day, and we've got a lot to show within Spalding Hall and the Oscar Getz Museum of Whiskey History. So.
Absolutely. So if someone's never been to the museum in the past, and now that's being renovated, it's a great opportunity and time to come right here at Spalding Hall, because it is open all year long as well. What would you say are some of the highlights for people that they need to see when they come to this museum?
I would say more the Prohibition era, Carrie Nation, really going back to, you know, the Prohibition days and the elimination of Prohibition and that type of thing. You can go to all the distilleries, but you know, you don't really get a lot of the history dating back, you know, to 1944 and 33 and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great collection. You can get a feel for, you know, from the mash tubs to the bottling house to the rick house to all facets of the industry. So, yeah.
And it does cover everyone too, like everybody's represented.
Absolutely, yeah. When I was in the business, you know, I was a little leaning towards Barton Distilling a little more, but today we try to represent in the entire industry, the entire, you know, all of Nelson County and everybody within the bourbon industry. Kentucky bourbon.
Right. Exactly, right. Exactly, because that's true bourbon.
Difference. Absolutely.
True bourbon, that way, right? So again, I'm talking with Randy Getz, who is the grandson of Oscar Getz, and Oscar Getz is the namesake for the museum that's here at Spalding Hall, and it's the Museum of Whiskey History, so you can come on down and see what's on display there. It's being renovated. It's a great time to come on down and check it out.
Absolutely, yeah. Glad to have you, and we're looking for more traffic all the time, and we got good things for everybody to see.
And now your grandfather's name is down in history forever with this museum, right? One of the only whiskey museums, I believe, in the world.
It is the only whiskey museum in the world. Oscar Getz, Museum of Whiskey History.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.